Well, I think there were really two tenets to Obama's foreign policy. One was his thought that a peace between Palestine and Israel was very important. That was a cornerstone. And then I think the second cornerstone was really our approachment with Iran, having an acceptable nuclear deal, getting them to cooperate on dealing with the crisis in Syria, also in Afghanistan, and then potentially in Iraq. So I think those are really the two cornerstones of where the administration really thought that they were going to be proactive, kind of drive the agenda in the Middle East. Well, it hasn't been very helpful because the notion was the United States was going to disengage more from Middle East policy, and by lowering the temperature on the Palestinian conflict and by dealing with Iran, that in a sense would be able to focus on other things. But what we've seen is exactly the opposite has happened. Is we've seen increased tensions in Western Europe. We see continued demand for U.S. presence in Asia, and the Middle East isn't getting quieter. So instead of being able to shift their attention, they've now really had to divide their attention. Well, I think it'd be disastrous. First of all, oil is a global commodity. And so if you reduce the flow of oil and gas anywhere, it impacts everywhere. It affects the global market. And the United States is heavily integrated in the global market. So you're always going to be concerned about that. But in many ways, the Middle East is still the crossroads of the world. You have the Suez Canal. You have the amount of shipping and traffic that transits the Middle East. You have financial centers. And so in many ways, the Middle East is called the Middle East for a reason, because it does connect disparate parts of the world, and major issues there can impact everyone. And then, of course, there's always the issue of transnational terrorism. When you have pipelines bringing foreign fighters into fights like we have now in Syria and Afghanistan and places in North Africa like Libya, the potential blowback of this is those fighters can come back and threaten you. So you need to be concerned with that as well. So there's plenty of reasons why you just can't walk away from the Middle East and say that's somebody else's problem.